Greetings everybody and welcome back to another livestream recap. As you might know, I'm ImagineerDave, the host of this channel, and I work towards Minecraft's most realistic railway. That being said, today I'd like to take you into the episodes 211 till 220 of the Create SMP series. So let's dive right into what happened, starting at episode 211. In episode 211 I did some design work over at Lower Shepperton. For a long while the area of land where the shops were going to be remained empty, and it was about time to change that. When the design of these houses was done, however, my attention span shifted over to something completely else. In this episode 212, I started working on a tramway through Shepperton Main Street. The most important thing here was to, of course, lay the tracks down in such a way that they would be integrated within the street level instead of above it. After I decided at which coordinates I had to have my rails down in order for them to line up with the floor of the road, I moved on to actually embedding them into the pavement. By using some bites as markings and using cobblestone half slabs inside of the tracks, I could get a result where there were only small changes in height of the track compared to the road, which in turn kept the street looking like one giant floor instead of multiple separate areas. After the main street was done, it was time to work on the area near the plaza, where I also decided to add a crosswalk for the people that wanted to cross the road. After adding this, I went into more track detail on the hardest part, the bend out of the main street that went in front of the station. That part was a little bit tricky to fix, but in the end I did manage to get there, I think. In episode 214 I decided to get the lower Shepperton houses in before I continued with the Tramway project. This meant loading in the schematic from the earlier design, preparing the area and getting the cannon ready for the build itself. This was only a quick return to other work though, cause right after the houses were done I went back to load in another design, a design for a tram. Since I'd recently been to Portugal, I got inspired by their old style trams and I decided I would design one that was similar to theirs. Even though this isn't strictly 1800s Britain anymore, there are also loads of other areas and buildings which stepped away from that, so why not just add a cool looking design to the world, right? Episode 215 was all about redstone, or well, actually tramways, or should I say redstone and tramways. See, I had a problem. In order for my tramway to work on single lines, the whole network needed to be brass signaled except the stations to avoid the two trams going onto the same track and blocking each other. At the same time, I wanted my buses to not run into the trams and I had to figure out a way how to block the road vehicles when the tram was arriving. I couldn't do it with signals, because that would mean the intersection would be blocked for as long as an actual tram was on the whole one-way section. Instead, I chose to use train detectors with some redstone. I couldn't simply put a timer on a train detector since the intersection would stay blocked, because the tram would also toggle it on the way out. Instead, I built a circuit that only allows a signal to go through if the two inputs are toggled in a certain order and within a certain time span. And this allowed me to determine the way of travel of the tram and to check if the tram was coming onto the road for it to then block the buses. You know me by now, right? Well, if you know me, then you also know that in episode 216 my attention span shifted over for yet another project. This time it was about expanding Sheperton to the left side. For a long while this area had been a mountain and a forest, and because we had the tram line going this way as well, I wanted to change this but got way too much involved. In episode 216 it was all about clearing space and constructing new roads and ramps. However, episode 217 was somewhat of a continuation of episode 216. It was more than that. Even though it started with making some footpaths, it quickly turned into the episode where I started planning this whole area of the city, for it to then also turn into designing a new addition to the city. This addition was in fact a town hall. For a long while I thought about adding a new central structure to the side of the main street like a church. But then it hit me. The city needed a town hall. At the end of episode 217 and also the entirety of episode 218 I started to work on this new town hall, which was located at the end of Main Street, simply because a big plot of land opened up there. The building itself is inspired by Gouda's town hall in the Netherlands and uses some tricks to really distinguish it from the rest. The block palette became different to make it separate, and besides this it's also separated by a street. This separation was mostly needed since the houses of Main Street felt a little bit small compared to the giant town hall. By putting it a little bit more backwards and on its own, and by giving it more space, and eventually making the houses next to it also a little taller, it would fit in perfectly. In episode 219 the design was done and it was time to put the town hall in the survival world. For those that don't know, I have a copy of the survival world as a single player file where I design buildings and areas for my world. This way I can see if the train routes or build areas work with the rest of it or not. After the building was done I added in the 4 statues on the facade. Since this building is on 45 degrees I had to use glue, some blocks and bearings to place these statues exactly where I wanted them to be. When this was done, it was time to destroy parts of the building next to it. As said earlier, I wanted to make the height of these buildings go up a bit to match more with the town hall. Besides this, I noticed that when I designed the Main Street buildings at the end, they turned out smaller than the buildings at the start, which was weird as well. To fix both, I decided to add 1 block to each upper floor, which in the end made everything fit together way more. In the last episode of this recap, episode 220, it was time to finish up the surroundings of the town hall by adding in a little market with some stands, a few trees and to fix up the road around it. The market gives some nice detail while the road has only one purpose: connecting up the lower parts of the town with the higher bridge and of course the coal mine. Finishing this however would be for another episode. As always, I want to thank you so much for following along, as it really helps me to stay motivated and make more plans. If you want to check out these live streams, be sure to join my Discord down below to get notified when I'm live, or follow me here on YouTube to get community notifications. If you are looking for schematics, some can be found on my Discord and others at my Patreon page, where I also posted the town hall. Again, I'd like to thank you for watching. This is ImagineerDave, signing off, so bye bye!